What's up, everyone? It's your boy Rick. It's the Millionaire Move Show. Let's just go right into it.
You know, it seemed like Errol Spence was a little drained tonight, and he didn't really do what he needed to do. And Bud definitely took advantage of that, and he made it look easy.
Errol Spence is shocking.
Well, you know, I tell you what, Deontay Wilder is right. He made it look easy. It was a shock because it was an outclassing. And the prior videos, we talked about this before. And did you see the Zhang Joe Joyce heavyweight match this weekend? A rematch. And what happened? He got annihilated again. But this time it was worse because it was his first TKO KO victory for Zhang. Zhang wins by KO or whatever, and Joyce lost. You know, it was his first defeat. It was early. So like I said, Errol Spence needs a tune-up, but let's keep it going. He should not just go in for a rematch with Crawford.
Defeat to Terence Crawford is still being talked about, especially considering how shocking the result was. Many feel that Spence was out of form and plain unlucky that fateful night.
You know, Spence was a little flat tonight, too. It looks like he didn't have any steam on the shots for some reason. It seems like that same relentless Spence with that power. Like I said, we didn't see it, you know, like we should have tonight.
Some boxers did criticize Errol.
Yeah, you know, Spence had the power, Andre Berto. You know that. He had the power. Power just doesn't disappear. It disappears when it doesn't land because of skills. Because, again, Crawford has way more skills. He neutralized all efforts made by the truth Errol Spence with his boxing skill. He just has his number, like Zhang has Joyce's number. They could fight like 10 times, and it's going to probably happen every time, and he's going to lose. So what happened here, I mean, is there a chance at a rematch? Yes, because he's such a upper echelon, hyper illmatic, amazing fighter. That's Errol Spence. He's really good. That he's a champion. So even though he lost the title, he's a champion level A-class fighter. So there's always that chance, even against someone who looks better, who proved to be better, there's always a chance at a rematch. But for the most part, it doesn't look good. And skills took away Spence's power. Skills made him look flat-footed. Skills made him look drained. He wasn't drained. He even said he felt good. This man, let me tell you, Spence, I never watched this video. We're going to go through this. But Spence is a really humble, very good sportsman. And he's great for the sport. You see how he didn't make any excuses. Let's continue.
Keith Thurman, for instance, felt Errol Spence was flat-footed against Crawford.
I won't be flat-footed, for one.
You think Errol was flat-footed?
We know, what do I think? Hey, was Errol flat-footed? Was Errol, look, the heads are nodding.
Overextended.
So,
he said,
that wide stance.
But how did Errol Spence respond after the loss? Spence.
Okay, let me just say something really easy to say. Hindsight's 20/20, and it's easy to criticize him. He had a wide stance, and if you look at a lot of Errol Spence fights before this, he would do the same thing. That's a part of his style. It's just that Terence Crawford is on another level and was able to exploit Errol Spence, his style. So Crawford was able to exploit it, take advantage of it, and he found it to make it look easy because of all the hard work and all the talent that put him in that position where he was able to capitalize on it and handily beat Errol Spence Jr. and then leave people shocked and dumbfounded. Let's continue.
Seemed exhausted and beaten down, but he took full responsibility for the loss.
I feel good, and like I said, I'm not here to make any excuses. I'm a grown man. I decided to agree to the weight and get down to it, and that's what I did. So,
the big question is, will Errol Spence ever be able to recover from this loss? Will the rematch with Crawford result in the same result for Spence? We try to answer these questions in this video.
Well, most likely the rematch is going to result in the same way, but it'd probably be worse. It'd probably be like Zhang versus the fight Joyce the other night, Saturday night, because it looked like Joyce was going to go in there and try to retune and refine, and he's watching tapes, and then it just didn't happen. He's watching clips or whatever. He studied him. I don't know what he was doing, but it didn't work. Because, like I said, in boxing history, usually the outcome of a rematch is the same. Not always, but most of the time. I don't have this data, the stacks in front of me, the stats, but I'm sure if you would run it through a computer and get a quick answer, like with math, in modern day boxing, how many rematches over the last, like, let's say, for instance, 4 decades resulted in the rematch being the same, where the outcome was the same when you have a fighter that won the previous fight won again. Then I would like to run it through. Someone make an app. How fast was the rematch? How fast did the guy that won before win again, and vice versa, or whatever. But it looks like that happens often. And if you go back in boxing history, with Montel Griffith versus Roy Jones Jr., Roy Jones took a loss because he hit Montel Griffith when he was down, but you could see it was a reflex shot. It was really a shame. They should have took a point away. Now, I've seen that happen many times after that event, and the fighter did not lose. It resulted in a loss. Of course, Montel, from what I remember, fell over and played it up, so he got a title. But everyone knows he was losing the fight. I mean, obviously, he went down. But, so what my point is, in the rematch, Roy Jones took him out really fast because he was so mad. And he was just showing, hey, I never lost to this guy, but he had a loss on his record to a man he arguably was beating before he took the loss because it was a foul. It was considered a foul. So in the rematch here, it's going to be the same outcome, but I think quicker. Let's continue.
The boxing world is still reeling from Errol Spence Jr.'s recent defeat to Terence Crawford. The loss has not only affected Spence's record, but has also impacted his reputation, with many in the boxing community questioning his abilities and future in the sport. But what are the implications of this shocking result on Spence's career?
A save maybe, Bud Crawford.
Now, if you want to put a YouTube video implication of his career, I just want to say real quick, give you a YouTube tip. If you want to put a video like that together real quick, you just get ChatGPT, put all the information in on Spence and Crawford, and then you get an AI program. There's AI editing out there, and you get some photos, and you get a flash effect. A lot of people don't want to put the work in, but it's really not that hard to do. And then you get the voiceover to translate it. All automated AI, but we'll see what happens in the future with that stuff on YouTube. But I think there's nothing like a person. It's like Joe Rogan, his podcast getting replaced by AI. Someone tried to do it, and it's not. It was at first it was a novelty, but it gets old pretty quick when people hear that voice. They want to see a real breathing person. You go to Teddy Atlas's channel, you want to see Teddy Atlas talk. You don't want to hear a robot talking about stuff like this. But anyway, I'm using it here because it's fair use, and I'm checking it out, and I'm responding criticism on it, talking about commentary. And by the way, this video is not monetized by me, okay, because this channel is not monetized yet. When we get there, it's headed there because people are actually watching these videos on the show, and I'm shocked. All right, we'll continue.
Maybe saw something in film, he knew he dominating, but no one saw this coming.
Errol Spence Jr.'s July bout with Terence Crawford was one that many boxing enthusiasts had eagerly anticipated. Both fighters had carved a niche for themselves in the welterweight division, with Spence, in particular, enjoying a reputation as one of the division's top talents. However, the match's outcome was something few had predicted. From the opening bell, it was evident that Spence was not in his usual...
Okay, we know what happened in the fight. I think this is just dragging out some watch time, I guess. If the longer your videos go, the more ads you can put in, but which is fine. I'm not hating. Hey, do your thing. Yeah, basically we know what happened, and what happens with ChatGPT and programs like this, or AI videos from I see with other boxing channels like this, it tends to tell you how the boxers are boxing. Boxing is a sport, pugilism, and you separate and you punch with power and you use a jab and whatever, and then they'll talk about how Crawford was doing his thing, but it's very robotic. So what I'm saying is that we know what happened in the fight, and I think I'm going to just let the rest of the video play as I'm talking over it. You can see here from the photographs and the videos and stuff like that, and the comments that boxers have been making on this, fellow boxers, Errol Spence Jr.'s peers, it's like, oh, well, he was struggling in there because he was flat-footed. Wilder said, Berto made his comments. But, it's easy to say that, but if you look at just exactly what happened here, you had a superior professional boxer that was just that much better than the other one, who is great by all accounts. If it wasn't Crawford, nobody else was going to beat Spence most likely in that division on that night. It's Crawford who deserves all the credit for this. So there was no problems. He wasn't flat. He wasn't weight drained. He wasn't any of those things. He was just outsmarted, outbeat with a ring IQ that Crawford has to turn on a dime and just be creative and invent new ways if he's struggling. That's the true sign of a really, really amazing, one-of-a-kind, elite, rarefied air champion, in my opinion. When you could, like Floyd Mayweather Jr. did, when you could, like, if you're losing a little bit of that fight or there's some type of nuances in there and you could turn that around and change it, or if you have a bad, like a couple of seconds or bad round, they collect all the data. I don't want to say the word. A lot of fight analysts are doing this now. It's a trend, downloading that data. But he's just figuring him out. He makes adjustments really quick. Let's say when Spence would land something, and he did a few times, Crawford has that talent, the ability, the ring generalship to create a new way, to switch stances, to do what he needs to do to win, and as if he's becoming another new, like, fight style, like in a video game entirely, while he's actually doing these fights, while he's actually in that ring. And like I said in the previous video, he actually had the audacity, in a good way, I'm not saying in a bad way, to have a conversation with Charlo, who was ringside. I think it was Charlo. There's a video out there, which is insane. He's actually this relaxed, and arguably the biggest fight of Crawford's career versus Spence, and he's so in control of the fight. Talk about distracted. He's talking to Charlo about his future, or he's going to fight him, or whatever he was talking about. Just the fact that he was having a conversation with another professional fighter ringside, of a professional boxer. So, that's all in itself crazy. What? That's insane. So, other fighters will be like, this is the moment of my life. I can't even take my eyes off my opponent. I got to keep my head. You always see the trainer, stay focused. Well, this man, his way of focusing, because he was so relaxed, so confident he was going to beat Spence in that ring, and he had everything under control, and it was only going to go one way. Hey, I'm going to go kick it. I'm going to go talk like I'm in training, like I do in sparring. I'm so comfortable in here. I'm going to have a conversation with Charlo ringside, which is insane, which is crazy. Just that one thing alone is bananas, mind-blowing, crazy. Anyway, just want to talk about that real quick. I'll probably make another video right after this. Got some time today, so we can keep building this show up, see what happens. I want to talk about other things, too. I don't know if I want to make this boxing specific all the time. I did another video when the channel's completely dead, looking at airplane, things on an airplane, just dramas and stuff, so that was kind of funny. I don't know. People watched it, surprisingly, a couple hundred. So YouTube was putting it out. I guess what YouTube algorithm puts out, but boxing is what I really know and love, and I can just keep talking about it like nothing, because it's like second nature to me, because I've been watching it since I was a kid, so I can just rattle off things about boxing, and then go back into the history of boxing sometimes without depending on a script or ChatGPT throw some information up for me and read it. Like, I can just start to go back of fights that I watched back in the day that impressed me and growing up, and recall on those things, what I know about the sport. So it's always fun. So I'm gonna be back with another one. I'm out. I'm punching that camera.